healthy. Okay, we finished off the section which has now been retitled as the Incomplete Tzaddik Revisited. And we're about to do these levels of tzaddikim. So let me recap on what we learned. I can never really remember exactly because I don't follow the classes myself. So, and I keep on going over and over this. So, but as I recall, that's as far as we got. And it works like this. We said there's a battle going on inside. Now, you can win this battle. You can be winning this battle. That's one stage. But we're talking about somebody who went all the way with this battle. He went so far that he vanquished the enemy. Vanquished. The enemy has no say whatsoever. They became gone. They're out of there. In what way they're gone? Because he overwhelmed his Yetzer Hara. Right in the left side of the heart, he overwhelmed it with this tremendous love that he has. Love for God. That overwhelmed it. Now, how does that work? He explains how that works. But first, we explained in the last chapter, but we're going to get back to it again. So he overwhelmed it. Is it gone? Entirely gone? Well, from his perspective, it's gone because it's not bothering him. It doesn't tell him, you really would like to do this, or you should do that. It doesn't have a Yetzer Hara. He's a tzaddik. He doesn't have any impulse, any urge to do something that he shouldn't do. That doesn't interest him. Not only doesn't interest him, he's, that's disgusting. Keep it away from me. So his attitude to anything, even wasting a little time from anything like that, just enjoying something for no reason, I had to put that in for Tovah's sake, is his attitude to that, how could anybody do that? The same as your attitude might be to do something. Well, everybody always has something that's absolutely forbidden. I don't do that, People have things, we most of us have things, and we see somebody else doing it. Sometimes you see a person walking down the street eating a hamburger. And some people say, that's disgusting. Disgusting.
It could come from your figure.
It could be walking on a plane. My mother said when she first came she arrived first in Toronto, and she saw people taking a piece of meat, like a hot dog or a hamburger, and eating it. She said, she always said, meat, you mix in little bits of meat with, vegetables and rice and stuff. Like, eat a piece of meat? She was revolted. She was revolted by it. Who was his? Itchu the Masmid. He was a great chassid, Rabbi Yitzchak Orevich. They called him the Masmid. He was always learning, and he was sent by the previous Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, sent him from Eastern Europe to America to see what's happening with the Hasidim who, immigrated to America and encouraged people, and also raised some funds while he was at it. He said when he arrived in New York and he saw the way people were dressed, he vomited. He physically vomited. How could you walk on the street like that? Showing skin. I mean, he vomited. So different levels of things discuss different people, but basically, as soon as a person becomes revolted with evil, he or she divests. That's how you divest yourself of it. You divest yourself of a Yetzer Hara through your revulsion, right? Instead of being attracted to it, you're revolted by it. Why are you revolted by it? Because you hate it. Why do you hate it? Because you love God so much, and this goes against all that. So you have a revulsion for it. So the problem with this incomplete tzaddik, he doesn't feel any Yetzer, he doesn't feel any drive, any urge, any impulse towards any of these things. But we know it's still got to be there in some way. Why do we know it has to be there in some way? It has to be there in some way because, that's how he puts it here, if he had eliminated all expression of that bad completely, then he would turn over that Yetzer Hara, it would become a Yetzer Tov. And he hasn't done that. Why hasn't he done that? There must be something he's missing. So we have a big problem over here. He has no urge to do evil. He has no Yetzer Hara. Right? But we say, well, we have evidence that there must be something left because he didn't make his Yetzer Hara into Yetzer Tov, so there ought to be something left. So in what way is it there? If he has no Yetzer Hara, in what way is it there? So said, the only way that Meirav, thank you for coming. Did you see a guy in a sports car, young guy, his name is Sean, turns up here. Oh, you didn't see him out there.
Oh, I just spoke to him.
There are lots of
What
bizarre
are you doing? You doing boxing tonight? Is he coming?
Because,
Just tell me.
He's moving into his new apartment. His apartment was
Okay.
burned.
Yeah.
Oh,
And next week he's going to be in Panama.
Always has excuses, this guy.
no, he usually comes.
Okay, he'll come.
Yeah,
He
but
comes when he's here.
Okay, we'll get him to come.
maybe he's on the Zoom, no? Or he'll
Yeah, he's not here
listen
on
to
the
the
Zoom,
Zoom
no.
later.
He's not on the Zoom. Okay, so we're saying
He's
the only
not coming today?
He's moving into a new apartment. His got burned.
so we said he didn't turn his Yetzer Hara over into Yetzer Tov. The tzaddik, the complete tzaddik, has made his Yetzer Hara into Yetzer Tov because he has utter revulsion for any bad. Why does he have utter revulsion? Because he has such an intense love, so when you love, we discussed this last week. When you love someone very much, you dislike that which is against that person. That's just the way it goes. The same with anything else. You love something, there's always the flip side of love. Always with love comes exclusion of something else. So, if you love humanity, you hate that which is bad for humanity, which happens to be humanity. What do you do about that? I don't know. So the complete tzaddik has utter revulsion for the evil. So therefore, he totally has dismissed any of it from within him, and therefore, he was able to flip over his Yetzer Hara, and now his Yetzer Hara became a Yetzer Tov. That makes him what we call a tzaddik b'tov lo. He's not a tzaddik b'ralo, a tzaddik b'tov lo. Tzaddik b'ralo means he has some smidge and vestige, trace of bad in there. The tzaddik b'tov lo is only good. Even his Yetzer Tov became good, which is a very powerful Yetzer Tov. So in what way, that comes back to the question, in what way is there still any bad in this incomplete tzaddik? Only in a negative way, in that he doesn't have utter revulsion for it. That's all. Not that, when nobody's looking, he might, and none of that. Not that, if the situation, no, he's totally beyond all that. But he doesn't, only negative thing you can say about him is, he doesn't have absolute revulsion for him, which isn't much of a criticism. I mean, if somebody would say to me, the only thing I can find wrong with you, Tzvi, is you don't have utter revulsion for evil, that's a great compliment. But for this guy, that makes him an incomplete tzaddik. So, what we call that revulsion gets rid of what the Zohar calls the filthy garments of the evil. But the core where that's the pleasure drive of the animal soul, you don't want to get rid of that. You can't live without that. But what you want to do is to be able to flip it over, so now that the pleasure drive towards the good things, which in general is an important lesson. It's because, so we're not going to be a complete tzaddik by Wednesday afternoon. Maybe not even an incomplete tzaddik. It's not like read this book and in 20 days you'll be a complete tzaddik. It doesn't work that way. Although we could make a lot of money if we could advertise to that way. I'm sorry, it's not. So, but with all of us, it is a good idea that you should enjoy. Right? You have to enjoy doing mitzvahs, learning Torah, it should be enjoyable. Shabbos should be enjoyable. I'm still in trauma from when in Toronto, maybe 20 years ago, I met somebody who told me that he keeps Shabbos. I didn't even want to say the words. For him, it was torture. He couldn't enjoy Shabbos. He wanted to go to work, he wanted to do other things, but he has to say, he was miserable on Shabbos. So, the Torah says you're supposed to be ma'aned as a Shabbos. You're not supposed to wait for Shabbos to hey, Shabbos, I'm here now, make me happy, You're supposed to make Shabbos into a delightful day. So if you find something you enjoy eating, you say, I'm going to put this aside for Shabbos. If there are people you enjoy having over, have them over for Shabbos. And if there are people you don't enjoy having over for Shabbos, find some way to enjoy them. And with everything else, the sages say, "Olam yilmod adam b'makom sheli b'chafetz." A person should always learn those things that his heart draws him towards. You're going to sit down and learn what you enjoy learning. The fact is, if you really put your head into something, into any part of Torah, and really get into it, you probably end up enjoying it. But some people are more attracted to halacha. Some people are more attracted to a good Pilpul and Talmud. Some people like learning Tanakh. Some people like learning a lot of Chassidus, Tanya. But since Torah, it's very important. Your mind only works properly when you're enjoying it. And you get your Yetzer Hara involved. Let the Yetzer Hara have a geschmack in being a Jew. Right? Enjoy it. Enjoy it. So with a lot of things that way. Okay, so now we get to, there are levels of these tzaddikim. Of the incomplete tzaddik. In incomplete tzaddik, there are levels. And that's on page 4. Levels of tzaddikim.
Levels?
Levels.
Or divisions? We talked about this
It's called
2 weeks
both.
ago.
Oh, we did. We did this already.
This is the
Oh,
whole
man.
reason I'm coming back, because you said it's divisions, not levels.
Yeah, okay. They're both. No. What I talked
in the
about being
spirit of
divisions. Divisions, I said, there's the completely wicked, there's a somewhat wicked, there's the Beinani, the Ingan. And those are not just levels, they're also divisions. Like I said, you walk out the door of one of them and enter the room of the other one. That's why I said those are divisions. Here we're talking about one of those divisions, which is also a level, which is the incomplete tzaddik. And within there, you're going to find all sorts of different types. This tzaddik's bigger than this tzaddik, this is different than this tzaddik. So he says in 2 different ways. Now this level of the incomplete tzaddik encompasses tens of thousands of gradations. 2 factors are involved. First of all, to which of the 4 bad elements does the diminished residual bad belong? Remember the 4 elements? There's fire, air, water, earth, and from each one of those comes different emotional qualities. From fire comes anger and pride. From air comes boasting and vanity. And from water comes lust and pleasure, and all in a bad sense. And from earth comes the worst, depression, sadness. So some people have a little bit dominant, more earthy, some are fiery, some are yes. So that also exists in the divine, we said, but here in the incomplete tzaddik, so he's chased away all the bad, but the smidgen that's left, the residual, which we said only exists in a negative sense, what is it? He doesn't have enough revulsion for, maybe he doesn't have enough revulsion for anger. He doesn't get angry, doesn't have revulsion for anger enough. Or it could be for boasting, or whatever it is, okay? That's one thing. And then, to what degree is its significance diminished by the overwhelming goods? Because we said that he eliminated it, but elimination has When you say you've eliminated, how do we wash something? We put it in water and we dilute it. It's still there, but for all purposes, it's gone because we diluted it enough. The same thing we take, if you have a big vat of chicken soup and we're doing about bittul and a drop of milk falls in there, I wouldn't eat it, but technically, say, well, there's no taste of milk in there because you got at least 60 times the chicken soup. So that's called bittul. So even though we said this tzaddik eliminated the fat from within him, eliminated doesn't mean completely gone. So for example, you could have chametz on Pesach. It says you have to destroy the chametz. Bi'arta, beer chametz, you have to destroy it from the world. How do you do that? One way is you burn it until there's nothing left but carbon, no chametz now. But you could also take it to a lake, an ocean, crumble it into tiny little pieces, or just flush it down the toilet the same way. Have you eliminated it? No, it still exists. But nobody can have any benefit from it. Like you're not going to have somebody in a canoe sweeping up your little crumbs over there. You won't be able to get enough, to make it worthwhile. So he's not going. So as long as you've eliminated the possibility of anybody having any benefit from it, it's called eliminated. And here, this Yetzirah inside are not affecting anyway. So there are degrees of bittul, of insignificance. In halacha, one part in 60, some things it needs to be 1 in 1,000, because sometimes we're talking about taste, and it's 1 in 60. Sometimes it's not about taste; it's about how important it is, and you need 1 in 1,000. Sometimes there's 1 in 10,000. There's also other measures because you can have a qualitative insignificance. So there's all sorts of things. So that accounts for the many sorts of tzaddikim throughout the generations. As the Talmud says, there are 18,000 tzaddikim standing above before the Holy One, blessed be He. That does not mean that there are 18,000 of such tzaddikim in every generation. What it seems to mean is that's the maximum possible. Unless there's souls that are above, that are souls of tzaddikim. Maybe they split into many as they come below, I don't know. But 18,000 is the number given. So that's talking about tzaddikim that have levels to them. But, on the next page, page 5, when it comes to the level of the complete tzaddik, this is an entirely different realm. Do you have the people here? Do you have the PDF there? Did Rabbi Solish put the new PDF up?
I think it was posted here.
Did he? I'm just going to check if it's there. Where are we? This is called Demystifying. Demystifying Tanya. No, he didn't put it here, so I'm going to put it there for the people. All right, so it's here.
You mean posted to WhatsApp?
In the WhatsApp, yeah. Posted to WhatsApp. Demystify now. Here. Okay, it should be there now. You should be able to follow. And we're on page 5. When it comes to the level of the complete tzaddik, well, this is an entirely different realm. It was concerning such tzaddikim that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said. Remember Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the author of the Zohar, and about him, Rabbi Akiva was sitting his students, and each one in a different place. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he didn't sit him in such a special place. And he said to him, he says, only I and your Creator know your greatness. So, I say that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was a Gilgal of Yaakov Avinu. And he was a very, very high tzaddik. So it says, concerning such tzaddikim, that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said, I saw the elevated ones, B'nai Aliyah, and they are few. There he says, if there are 1,000, my son and I are among them. If there are 100, my son and I are among them. If it's 2, it's my son and I. So how could Rabbi Shimon go about saying that he is? What do you think? He's coming along and saying, I am one of them. How can he say such a thing? So I'll tell you how he can say, because he has no Yetzer Hara. For us to say such a thing as a gaiva, he has no gaiva whatsoever. He doesn't. So he's just saying it. He's saying it as a matter of fact. So it's just a matter of fact. So here you don't have all these levels. And the uniqueness is stated in their title, elevated ones, B'nai Aliyah. Aliyah means elevating, above. They don't simply overwhelm the bad, but they elevate it, transforming it and raising it to holiness. So the other tzaddikim overwhelm the bad, render it insignificant, hold it like they've got it tamed, they got it on a leash, okay? And Rabbi Shimon takes it and elevates it and makes it into Yetzer Tov. That's the thing. So there you're not going to have all these gradations of how much did he... No, you turned it over. He didn't turn it over, that's all. As in the anecdote, in the preface to the Zohar, it says when Rabbi Chia, so Rabbi Chia was also one of the great tzaddikim of that time, and he wanted to, when he was alive, he wanted to ascend to the heavenly chamber of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who had already passed on. He heard a voice calling from there saying, until you have transformed darkness into light and caused bitterness to become sweet, you cannot enter here.
Transform whose darkness?
They do both. They do both because they're able to turn their own darkness to return into good. So that's the way they deal with everything else in the world. And they're able to make until recently, it was considered that the only person that could make a Baal Tshuva, bring somebody to Tshuva, was a tzaddik. And the greatest praise you could say of they put on a tombstone, V'rabim Heshiv Me'avon. He brought many people to do Tshuva from their sins. Okay? So today you have so many Baal Tshuva, right? But it's really with the power of a tzaddik. So that's a tzaddik is able to take a person who's another sinner or whatever and turn him around. I mean, today somehow many of us do that, but it used to be a very unique thing. But that's what he does. Turns bitterness into sweetness and darkness into light. And that's Rabbi Shimon and his son.
How? I don't know, I've never thought of this before, but who coined the word tzaddik? Is it from the Torah or is it a rabbinic?
Yeah, a lot of times the word appears tzaddik. But here there are different names. Often the Zohar uses the term chassid, a chassid. We'll get to that. We'll get to one instance of that later. And or b'nei aliyah, that's the highest type of tzaddik. Something called in Tehillim Yesharim, upright people. But tzaddik, a tzaddik, I think, is like, they say Moses and tzedek, you have to have weights, have to be tzedek. Tzedek tirdof.
Like Rasha, I know is in the Bible, but in the Tanakh, but Tzaddik, I don't remember.
You have a lot of times. So a lot of times. So we determined at the beginning of the first chapter that it depends on where the word is being used, what it means. Sometimes It's being used relative to this. Relative to him, he's a tzaddik. But the actual, real meaning of the tzaddik, it's what a tzaddik really is somebody who has no yetzer hara, doesn't even desire to do bad. Even though we borrow the term, we say he's such a tzaddik, because he does things that I like, So, okay. Okay, so Chava just asked, Chava, don't go away, I'm answering your question. Chava just asked, there's some types of light, of darkness that are like you have black light. Black light, as I understand, is like generally referred to ultraviolet light as black light. And if we are in a room where there's only ultraviolet light, it's dark for us. But a bee comes buzzing into the room, and for the bee, the lights are all on. On the other hand, if we're in a room with red light, well, it's just red light. For the bee, it's pitch black. So it's just a matter of what you're able to pick up. So there is another type of energy that really is dark. You can have the energy of a black star, which is a star that's its gravitational force is so strong that it sucks light in, just pulls the light in. And there are people like that too. You should avoid them. But what we mean by making darkness into light is get an example of changing darkness into light. For example, bitterness into sweetness, the example given, is a person who goes through tough times. He has yisurim. So there can be pain, it can be physical pain, emotional pain, but he embraces it. He embraces it, and he grows from it. He's turning bitterness into sweetness. That takes a tzaddik. All of us can try, but to really do it takes a tzaddik. Change darkness to light into light can happen in much the same way. Take all the vicissitudes of life, and you take them as blessings from God. They're allowing me to grow. It's very difficult, but you can do that, and then there's no darkness. There's no darkness that way. Okay, now we get to the complete tzaddik's agenda. And this next part is going to help us understand everything that came before it. There's another reason that complete tzaddikim are called elevated ones. B'nai Aliyah. Okay. Besides describing their work with the bad, that they elevate the bad, right? This also describes their divine service when doing good, fulfilling Torah and its mitzvahs. They do good because this is God's agenda from above, to fulfill a divine need at higher and yet higher levels to the highest elevation. This is not the kind of service explained elsewhere of those who study Torah and do mitzvahs only as a means to bond with God, to quench the thirst of their souls, the thirst for God, as in the verse, all who thirst come to water. Rather, they do this to fulfill God's agenda. As Tikkun Zohar explains, describing the complete tzaddik as a chassid, right? From the word chesed, kind, says there in the Zohar, who is a chassid? One who performs kindness for his maker. Okay, so let's back up, because there's a lot of things. In a few lines, you got so much over there, so let's back up before we go on. Okay.
Like in modern Hebrew, it's used more as like a fan on, like
A fan of
Ani chassid shel,
Ani
whatever.
chassid shel, yeah, because that's what it became.
Yeah.
There were the Talmud talks about the Hasidim Akadmonim, like before us. They were Hasidim, and what they would do, they would sit for an hour before their prayers. They would pray for an hour and then sit for an hour afterwards, and they do that 3 times a day. In the medieval period in Ashkenaz, Rhine Valley, there were Hasidei Ashkenaz, Rabbi Yehuda, Chassid, Keach, others, very, very pious people, very strict with themselves. And then, in the times, the opponents of the students of the Baal Shem Tov called them Hasidim. They didn't choose to be called Hasidim, but that's what they got called. Say, okay, that's what you call us. Okay, when I was a teenager, we were called hippie freaks. We're called hippie freaks because they called us that. So okay, fine, I'll be a hippie freak. So Hasidim, they called us Hasidim. Okay, we'll be Hasidim. It wasn't our choice. That's what you called us. Fine. So, but that's what the Zohar calls. But let's step back. Saying the elevated ones. Why? Because of why do they do mitzvahs? Why do they learn Torah? So you go and you ask a tzaddik, why are you so excited about learning Torah? Why are you so excited about doing mitzvah? And he says to you, you don't understand. My soul thirsts for God. I want to be close to Him. And when I'm learning Torah, I feel I'm close to Him. And I need to be close to Him. And when I give tzedakah, when I help out a fellow Jews, help out somebody, I feel I'm close to Hashem and bonding with Him. I need that closeness. It's not a complete tzaddik.
I was supposed to say, I need that.
Okay, it's very selfless type of I need. It's not like it's not like it makes me feel good inside. No. He's doing it for God. It's very selfless. What are you gaining? You're gaining fame from no fame, money. No, not getting anything. But I have this love. I need to. It's not the complete tzaddik, right? The complete tzaddik, first of all, we learned before, he has ahava b'ta'anugim. He has blissful love. He's there already. He doesn't have a thirst because he's there already. You know, there's the difference, I think I described this before, the difference between the kid who is yearning, homesick, wants to be home, or the kid who's right there next to his mom and dad. You ever see like a little 3-year-old girl in her father's arms? No, she's just there, and I am here, and like she just wants to be there for eternity. She's in her father's arms. So that's how this complete tzaddik is. He's there already. So there's no thirst. He's there. So his love is a completely different type of love. So why is he doing mitzvahs? Not because for his need. It's for God's need. Oh, hold on. God has needs. So I was very afraid of using that word. So it says that avoda tzorech gavoha. Tzorech gavoha means it's a need of the one above. I translated it as agenda, at least for now. He has an agenda. Why? Because it's not a need. A need implies I need to eat now. You know, I'm lacking something. But he's God. He has no lackings, no wants. What kind of a need is it? Well, he decided, what do I want? I want a holy world, a physical world, and I will be a parent there. I will be present within it, even in such a lowly, distant world. That's what I want. And I want it to come through your hard work. And that's why he created the universe. So when you fulfill that, when you do that, you're fulfilling God's need. Why is it his need? Because he decided that's his need. Why did he decide? Because he enjoys that. Why does he enjoy it? Because he decided he enjoys that. But it's him. It's him deciding it. Okay? So we call that his need.
It's sort of like a Mobius strip.
A what strip? Sorry?
It's sort of like a Mobius strip.
Lobius?
Mobius.
It only
Mobius
has one
strip.
side.
Oh, a Lobius strip. That's what it's called?
Yeah.
Like those infinite things, but it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, yeah,
Not
yeah.
the helix,
but there's only one side to it.
yes.
Explain that. Why? Why is it like a? You muted. Why is it like a Mobius strip?
Strip.
Why? Who is like the
It's
tzaddik? Is
well, no, what you were saying.
oh
It's one can.
it's the loop.
Yes.
It's a recursive thing. Why will he enjoy that? Because he decided to. Why will he decide?
Yeah,
Because you enjoy that. Because
right,
yeah,
right,
because
right,
you're above everything.
right.
You're where things begin. Where things
Yeah,
begin, you can only have recursive logic at that point.
it's
And
a
in
way to
truth,
keep.
that's what makes us living beings. Is we do stuff because I would like to. Why? Because I decided. You always get back to that Mobius loop. Okay, but so the point is the motives of this tzaddik. What is he doing? Not because he has a need to be close to God. He says God has a need. I'm fulfilling his need. When I'm doing this, he wants this. Therefore, I want this. The Medrash gives a parable of the king asks the servants, there's ministers, each of you come before me, tell me your needs. This one says he needs a vineyard, the other one needs a mansion, the other one needs clean water, whatever it is. And one comes before him and says, I have only one request. There's a certain province of the king that's a disaster, and it needs to be rebuilt. So we need financing to rebuild it. But the king says, what about your needs? My needs are your needs. That's it. And that's Moses. That's how Moshe comes before God. His needs are forgive the Jewish people, take care of them. He doesn't ask anything for himself. Not because he's trying to be super humble, because that's how he feels. And he gives it. It says there, Ezeu Chasid, who is a Chasid? Hamid Chasedim Kono. One who performs, see, we would use the word kindness, but it's benevolence. One who performs kindness for his maker. And then the Zohar goes on, Im kan delay. Now this is, you see, Kono means the one who owns him, his owner. A kan is a nest. So it's a play on words. He's doing chesed for his maker. How? By making a nest, meaning a dwelling, for his maker. So how do you make a dwelling for his maker? So he says you make a unity of kutshabrichu shchinte batachtanim. Now, we looked at those words and a month ago, and I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to translate this passage. We worked for a whole day on it and came up with this. Okay. The energy God invests within his creation, his Shekhinah, because we already talked about the Shekhinah in chapter 6. Mm-hmm. And we said that's basically God's presence within his creation. The energy invests within his creation. That's his Shekhinah. Mm-hmm. Is misaligned with God as he transcends his creation. Okay. There's God transcends his creation, but he's also within his creation. Right? You've heard of that before, right?
Yeah.
God is both transcendent and immanent. Mm-hmm. Somebody in the 19th century made up a word for it. They call it panentheism.
Yes.
You know, there's pantheism, where all that exists is the immanent, just the universe itself, and that is God. And there's transcendence, where no, God is beyond the universe. And then there's panentheism, where God is both. He's beyond and within. So Judaism is classically panentheism. Mm-hmm. I think Tanakh in general is panentheism. But the Protestants, Avdil, took this very transcendental totally complete, keep God outside the universe type of thing. And then everybody figured, well, since Jews look like Protestants, they must believe. Anyways, but Protestants, and during the Reformation, the rabbis who said the Protestants are non-Jews emulating Jews. That's what they called them. But anyways, panentheism, God is beyond and within. So the terms for that in the language of the rabbis, and especially in the Zohar, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Kadosh, means he's transcendent, he's beyond. Or in the Aramaic of the Zohar, Kutchabrichu. That's a God. And then Shekhinah, Shochein, he dwells within. And the issue is, God as he is transcendent and his energy within are in two different states. As he's beyond, he's totally unlimited. As he's within, he's unlimited, but he's, like we learned in chapter 6, in exile. Because he's within each thing, but he's there in a way that this thing doesn't feel that there's anything divine about it. Right? So he's within the rabbit, as he's within a leaf, or is it within each one of us? But he's being held there in exile. How can you hold? We discussed this in chapters. How can you hold God in exile? He runs the place. Yeah, but he decided that he's not coming out of there until you let him out. So it's like a child playing hide and seek with an adult. And the adult's in hiding, and the adult can't come out of hiding, because that's the game. You have to find me. One time, the Alter Rebbe, the author of the Tanya, he came into his study, and he hears his grandchildren crying. I can't say, where is she? Oh, she's behind the door. She says, why are you crying? So he calms her down. Finally, she comes out. We were playing hide and seek. And I hid here. And nobody could find me. And then they just gave up. So she's crying. He patted her on the head, says, don't worry, God has been going through this himself for a long time. So that's the misalignment over here. The Shekhinah is misaligned. The Shekhinah is always within, eminent, misaligned with God as he transcends his creation. So the sole intent of the complete tzaddik service is to make the Shekhinah a receptive nest for God and unite the two, God and his Shekhinah, here below. So that's what we say. Some people say it before they do any mitzvah. L'shem yichud kudshu b'richu shkinte. It's written in the Siddur. In Chabad, we only say it one time a day. We happen to put it before Baruch Shamar. Still, I don't understand why there. But it is the kavanah for every mitzvah. You're making a yichud kudshu b'richu shkinte. When we do a mitzvah, why am I doing the mitzvah? Probably because I did it yesterday. I don't know. I do these things. My wife will kill me if I don't. I don't know. There's some reason behind what I'm doing. And lesser tzaddik, like I said, he wants to be close to God, right? And this tzaddik is doing only for one thing, to make a yichud, kutshabrichu shkinte, that's all. To make a dwelling for God. So, there's one word here the Alter Rebbe adds in that's not in Zohar. That's not in Zohar. And I don't know that it's in any of the Kabbalists. And he adds it in here. He adds in the words, batach, the one word, batachtonim, which means in the lower worlds. Because when you learn Zohar and the Kabbalists, they're all talking about, you're making these yichudim, unifications in the higher world, in the world of Atzilus, the world of emanation. And here, all of a sudden, he starts talking about, I think this is the first instance in Tanya, you have to wait many chapters before it really gets into this. We're talking about making this yichud here below in this world. That God wants to dwell here in our material world. We just throws in that one word there.
So, calling the world like, like this world, it seems almost like it's like we shouldn't love the world. Like the world is beautiful, right? Like
Yeah.
there's even brachas to make on
Yeah.
in the
When you
world.
make a bracha on something, right? There's a beautiful sunset. There's beautiful mountains. You see the ocean. You haven't seen the ocean for a long time. Or when the blossoms come out in the tree. I think it was like Erev Purim, the first time I saw blossoms on the tree. Okay, there are blessings to say.
Too?
What?
Isn't that
Yeah,
honoring
because you're saying
When you
Baruch
say a blessing,
Even
you
if you
are
don't say a
you are
blessing.
bringing out the godliness of the world.
What if you're
The-
not sick? What if you're just mesmerized by this beautiful sky or tree or flower, and you're not even thinking God? You're
What
just,
you can say,
Isn't
Ma
that-
Godlu Ma'asachash.
isn't that honoring God also? Just
Well, you
thinking
didn't
how
mention
beautiful
it.
his
Did you think
creation
about
is.
him?
Pardon?
The artist signs his signature on the painting, right? So that's our job. We're supposed to be signing the signature on the painting because he left it out. He left it out. Actually, they say that the Jewish people are God's autograph, but we have to state it. Or elsewhere it says Shabbos is God's autograph. Well, you got to keep the Shabbos for it to be his autograph. Okay, so you need to say it explicitly because nobody else is. This is God's sunset, right? He designed it. I remember I have the image. We're up around Williams Lake in the north of British Columbia in May. And the day before there'd been a snowstorm. That's how far north this was. And we're all together in this Volkswagen van going north in early morning, and the sun is coming up. And an artist looks out and says, "Wow, whoever came up with that scene, wow." You got to say God created it. He came up with this scene, right? So that's the point. We want to bring out the divinity of it by saying who created it. It's one creator of the whole thing. Otherwise, the people who think the ugly stuff one God made, the nice stuff, no, it's all one God. And you have to find the beauty in everything in that way. So that's the job. So in every mitzvah, that's what you are doing, making, putting the signature, bringing out. So it's no longer an exile. Uniting the two, the transcendence and the immanence become one. You see God's transcendence within nature. So it's also another part of Zohar. The static's motives are entirely selfless, as described in the Zohar in the section Raya Mehem. Raya Mehem means the faithful shepherd, which is Moses. Parshas Kitzitze, okay? And this part is in the Zohar Moses speaking. And he's asked, Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet, is saying about Moses that he only does whatever he does, not as someone who's like doing God a favor, but like a child of God. And Moses says, I wish my mitzvahs could be accepted to God like that, like a child who does everything for his father and mother, because he loves them more than he loves himself, more than he loves his own breath of life, his spirit and his soul. He will give his very life to rescue them from captivity. See how he says that? To rescue them from captivity. Why rescue them? Why does he have to say to rescue them from captivity? So now we understand, because the Shekhinah is in captivity. So the tzaddik looks at the world and says, such a shame. God is here in this world, and nobody recognizes, nobody notices. Such a shame, We have to bring it out. Have to make it visible. And that's his only pure motive. It's just that, to make that apparent everywhere. And this will be explained. This is explained elsewhere. it's actually explained, the Dir B'Tachteinik part is explained chapter 36 and 37, it's a long time from now, and the rest of this is explained in the end of chapter 41. But if you stick around in a few years, we could get there.
There we go.
And we'll get there. So what we gain out of this is we can all be Hasidim like this, even if it's not absolutely real. But a major motive, what is a Jew? Right? What is a Jew? A Jew is God's presence being manifest in this world. Right? When people see there's a Jewish people in the world, they know there must be a God running this world. Otherwise, what the heck are these people still doing here? Who as Paul Johnson wrote that those who hate Jews, it's because they hate God. They may worship him. Just because you worship somebody doesn't mean you like. They worship because they're afraid, or they think they can get something out of him. But they don't like having a right and wrong and a conscience and so on. So the whole point. That's why when the existence of the Jews are under existential threat from God, twice in the Torah, one time by the golden calf, and one time when they don't want to go into the promised land. Both times, Moses uses the argument, what will the nations say? It's a very strange argument, right? You see a father who's about to murder his child and says, don't do it. Why? What will the neighbors say? What kind of an argument is that? So it's very strange. He has other arguments besides, but that seems like principal argument. Well, the other argument is they're the children of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. You promised to them that they're children. You're going to give, okay. So God says, no problem. I'll make it from you, happen from you. No, not from me. Okay. But what will they say? The Egyptians saw you take them out from there with great miracles, and now what did you do? You buried them in the dead. But the reason is because this is who the Jewish people are. Our entire being is to sanctify God's world and God's name in this world. We're his signature. That's what we are. So that's what Moses is saying to God. You need your signature, and you need your presence, and this is the way you're going to have your presence. That's what their existence is. So that's what a Jew is. And even though we may have whatever other motives, good motives, for doing mitzvahs, learning Torah, but we have to try to think, I'm making a dwelling for God. Why do I want to make a dwelling for God? Because he's my God, he's my Father. And what he wants, I want. It's not for that. That's the only reason. What he wants, I want. That's it. That's a Jew. Next
Jew
week.
or a tzaddik?
What? Every Jew is a tzaddik, you didn't know?
Oh.
Inside, that's who we really are. The rest is just like the coating, mud stuff that got stuck there. But inside, we call our children tzaddik. Every Jew, you're supposed to bring up your children that way, call them a tzaddik, and they become a tzaddik. So next week, we're going to go in some Kabbalah stuff. That's at the end of the chapter. You can read ahead. Spent a lot of work trying to find how to put this into English. And you'll tell me if you read it, if reading it on your own, it doesn't make sense to you. Maybe try it and let me know. God willing, next week. See you all then. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being there.
Yashkach.